approximately 5 minutes to... There we are! All right. After some technical difficulties, we are here. Oh, Alex, I'm so happy you got a beverage. I was really worried it was just going to be me.
This is a bottle of water, I got to be honest. So
that is a beverage as far as I'm concerned, sir. Good sir.
Yeah.
My friend. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if anyone's actually seeing this. We're still experiencing some Facebook concerns. So, look and see. 0 viewers. Okay, so I think I can safely say that it's not going through. But that's all right, because we're going to be live now. This is our inaugural episode of Ask Lovecraft After Dark. A special chat show, talk show. I don't really know what it's going to be. It's going to be something different, something new. And it's going to be really special when people can actually watch it. That's what I think. Call me crazy. But in the meantime, here we go. I'm just going to say post. Just post. Just post it, Facebook. Make it happen. I see you thinking. I see you doing it. I see in my lovely face. I'm up there. So something's happening.
I'm liking the idea too, is that it's like possibly going to post, and what's going to happen is there'll be like a time delay, so that people, when they start it, instead of going to live, they're going to have like 3 minutes of us being like, is it live? Or is it live?
Is anyone we'll do it live. Oh, okay. Something happened. Oh dear. Okay, so it looks like this is multiple things have been saved to. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Ask Lovecraft After Dark. We got 1 viewer, and that's enough for me. You know what? No, I'm not going to cancel anything. Sorry for the delay, but we've been dealing with some technical issues, as you might have noticed. For folks who are following, I am going to try to be monitoring conversation. The best place to do so, there we go, is in the live chat. Nikki and Jamie are already there, so that's great. Everyone is already playing along at home. I'm going to try to take a look over at the Facebook page and see if there's conversations happening. Because here's my idea for the show. I want this to be something special for those of you in the Ask Lovecraft Appreciation Society, because you are the most attractive, intelligent fans anyone has ever had. So I think how it's going to work is any kind of like live interaction, chat, all that sort of stuff is going to happen with you guys. And then after the show is done, I may post it live to make it public and post it to just As Lovecraft generally, so people can see what kind of fun we're having here. Because we are going to be having fun. And now that we've got some of that business out of the way, I want to introduce my fantastic guest tonight, Alex Houston. Houston.
Either one's
Houston. You know what? I wanted to catch myself. Alex and I have known each other for quite some time. We met at the very first Necronomicon that I got to attend back in 2013. We were on the like Lovecraft and social media panel that you were orchestrating, Alex.
Yeah, Lovecraft and the internet or something like that.
Which was only appropriate because Alex, for how many years? How many years did you run the page?
I guess since I just ended, and I would have started in like 2012, 6 years. Yeah.
So for 6 years, anytime you saw HP Lovecraft, not me, but HP Lovecraft with a little like check mark verified by Facebook, that was Alex. Alex, what did I call? I think I called you the content manager. I don't know what your official title there was.
You know, honestly, I guess I managed the page. It regrettably never made it into an official job title or anything like that. I was just doing it for the love of the game.
Lovecraft Wrangler.
Exactly.
But yeah, you were running the site. You were sharing links. You were getting into some amazing fights with folks that I love to see. And occasionally, thank you, you threw some love my way, sharing a few links to my episodes, which invariably got you backlash from people being like, that's not the real HP Lovecraft. That's a big phony. Hey.
Yeah. You wouldn't, I mean, I'm sure you've seen, there's that like one video on YouTube that circulates of like fake video footage of Lovecraft. And people,
the like works program one.
Yeah, where it's
So
like,
like
this is my desk, and it's people would send me that link on the regular and be like, this is real footage of Lovecraft, and then I would post your stuff and they'd be like, this isn't him. And it's like, you guys,
pick your fake.
like,
well, no, because there was two really good ones. There was one that was like, and it was a Canadian actor, and it was like an introduction to some anthology series or TV show. And it was done really well, and he was really pale and angular, and just like, hello, I'm Howard Phillips Lovecraft, and like had really crackly voice. And then there was another one that was like a faked interview from like the WPA, like, you know, whatever the big kind of Great Depression era. I don't know who did that. I've never looked at it. I've seen it. I saw it and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I thought, no, this is absolutely fake. But it was very well done, and it was a really cool thing. My friend Jamie, who is a librarian, says this sounds like people who go into libraries looking for photographs of Jesus. Well, now thanks to the live Jesus Christ Superstar with John Legend, we can just give people pictures of John Legend and say, "Here's your Jesus." In fact, I think one of the best things I saw on Twitter was someone saying that we now need to break into all of our grandmothers' houses and replace their like Kenny Loggins Jesus pictures with John Legend. Just, you know, set the record straight.
Did that live thing just happen? You'll have to forgive me. I'm about 5 weeks behind on pop culture.
Yes, so they did. You are familiar with Andrew Lloyd Webber's seminal rock opera of Jesus Christ Superstar?
I'm not that bad. I'm familiar with it. I know that the NBC does like the live musical. So is this one that just happened?
Yeah, this was, I think this was NBC. Yeah, they did a live, they called it In Concert. It was a musical. I don't know what was particularly concerted about it. They had really intense violinists like coming on stage with their bows like katanas. It was a lot of fun. I'm a big Jesus Christ Superstar fan. Hello and welcome to Andrew Lloyd Webber Talk with your hosts Lehman Gessler and Alex Houston. I'm a big JCSS fan, in a sort of love-hate way. Like there's things I love about the crazy drugged out 70s version. There's stuff that there's a weird 90s version that the only thing that really recommends it is it has Rick Mile from The Young Ones and Blackadder and Drop Dead Fred.
No. I'm not a musical person, but I would definitely watch something with him in it.
As Herod. He's Herod, and he's fantastic. Like they had Alice Cooper for this new John Legend one, and sorry, Alice Cooper, but you're no Rick Mile. I'm sorry.
Fair.
So it is definitely worth seeing. I think it's on Hulu. Hulu, sponsor of Ask Lovecraft After Dark. Be sure to check out Jesus Christ Superstar. That's not true. We don't have any sponsors. If anyone would like to sponsor us, especially the makers of this fine burgundy barreled red wine I'm having tonight, I would certainly welcome it. So, Alex, let's talk about how you became the face of HP Lovecraft. Just how does like for me, I was cast in a play. Someone was like, "You're weird and pale. Would you like to be HP Lovecraft for me?" I was like, "Sure." And then I decided I was going to do an insane web series where I filmed myself 3 times a week because that's like when my web comics would drop. And I thought that's a schedule I can keep to for the next 6 years.
Yeah, you've been doing this for 6 years too, right? Or is it 7?
Yes, 2000. So it was June of 2012 when I started.
Right.
So we're, you know, of a similar generation, similar cadre of weird guys decided to be HP Lovecraft. But how did I chose this line of work for whatever reason. How did you become HP Lovecraft?
So it's really, I wish there was like an interesting story for it. I was working for Random House Publishing at the time. I guess the only background needed for this is I obviously like Lovecraft. I had written my college dissertation or thesis on Lovecraft. And because I ended up working in publishing, naturally, what came up during my job interview and conversations were like, what authors do you like? And Lovecraft was kind of in my back pocket. And so
where he belongs.
Yeah, exactly. So my boss really loved making fun of the fact that my favorite author was a dour, spooky story guy. And
Yes.
yet, and yet I hadn't read any Stephen King, or hadn't really read any Stephen King or anything like that.
I haven't really read any Stephen King either, and I do this show and another horror podcast. So
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
tell it. Don't
at this
don't
point,
tell anyone.
I read 2 of his books, The Shining and Carrie. They were fine. But I don't feel like, in a guy who's put out as much as he has, it doesn't really count for anything. um, so yeah, I was known in the office as someone who really liked Lovecraft. I was a publicist at the time, and 2012, as you might recall, was the time when we were told that the internet was alive with such potential for so many things, and
Lies.
yeah, and that brands of all sorts were going to be able to market their products like never before. And so publishers were having a big push to have like social engagement and the like.
Yeah.
The idea that for Facebook, because really funny to talk about how we, would distinguish ourselves on Facebook in light of everything we know now. But everyone, you have your likes and everything like that. So people like authors, people like books, and so there was a big push in publishing to start managing pages for those likes, for those authors, for those books, things like that. Both living and dead authors. And so we started this big sweep of just like, if we had any sort of association with the author, we would create a page for them, post some quotes, stuff like that. As part of this, my boss was just like, list every author you like, and if you want to, like, every other week post something to a page for them, let us know. And Lovecraft came in. I put him down on my list. And then for whatever reason, I decided instead of doing that periodically, I would do that every day and be hyper engaged with
Now, was this in lieu of doing your actual work?
There were days.
That's what I like to hear.
I mean, there was definitely, especially some, so this is 2012. Between 2012 and now, we've had like 3 different iterations of the Lovecraft was a racist, no he wasn't debate, back and forth,
Oh, we've had a number of those, let me tell you.
Yeah. But those, like, whenever a new article pertaining to that would come out, I would usually like come into the office, have a cup of coffee, make sure that I didn't have like actual work to do, and be like, all right, time to post like the salon piece and just like dedicate my day to the comment section, because this is gonna go over poorly.
Yeah, I've gotten into those fights many times.
Yeah.
I have been kicked out of various Facebook groups and have huffily left various groups as a result.
Yeah, especially because after every single one, where it's kind of like you feel slightly fulfilled, but also like, well, that was 8 hours of my day, followed by then 3 more days of dealing with it, where it's just like, and what did I get out of it except for kind of this ache in my stomach and like just a profound sense of disappointment. But I'm going to do it again next week.
That's right. That's right, damn it. So Alex, is HP Lovecraft racist?
It's the funniest thing. But yes.
Well, all right, there we go, guys. That's been solved. You've been listening to Ask Lovecraft After Dark, where we solve all the major hot button issues. No, I'm absolutely with you. I think it's more than 3. I feel like there's been a lot. I feel like there was a period of time when it felt like every 6 months something was coming up.
Well,
maybe just felt that way.
Yeah, no. I mean, there was, and at some point, because of going to events like Necronomicon and being involved in that scene, your Facebook page, if it's not people with real political screeds that are actually important, it's all Lovecraft stuff. At some point, whenever Facebook introduced the muting option, I got super excited because I would then see someone would post such a large summary of the latest debacle that I would have to see it, but then I'd be like, hey, I missed 1 or 2 versions of this fight again, and
Well, and Necronomicon is an interesting space. The last time I was there, they were suffering from their own sort of brouhaha. This was the 2015
yes,
one.
you can forget Robert Price getting up there and kicking off the event with his Islamophobic and sexist remarks.
It was a blast. I missed it because I was driving into town. I took my wife and at that time 2-year-old child with me to Necronomicon, so that was a fun introduction to that world for them.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely remember like getting to the hotel, and SJ Bagley like excitedly comes up to me and they say, Robert Price was just so racist.
It was that so that happened in the First Unitarian Church right there in Providence, beautiful building. And I kind of have this I don't know, strange relationship with Lovecraft community in general, where I feel kind of divorced from it. And so going to Necronomicon, I was a little not nervous, but like feeling just a little peculiar for whatever reason or another. I also get moody when I travel, but so I go to the opening remarks by myself, and I'm listening to Price speak. And it's starting off, and I'm like, I think I'm being a little too critical because this seems not good to me. And then it starts continuing on. I'm like, maybe I'm still being a little critical myself. I know this is like getting pretty obvious. And then thankfully, as it ended, John Langan bumped into me. He was like, Alex, that was racist, right? And I was like, oh.
Oh, John Langan. I'm so happy. Well, yes. And the thing is, Necronomicon itself is a fantastic convention. Like Niels, Lord love him. Niels is such a saint, and like gets crucified almost every single convention. Something happens.
Yeah, why he's done this to himself is beyond me. God bless him for it.
Sure, yeah. I don't know why. I wouldn't do it. But he has, and because every time I've gone, it's been fantastic. There's always been something weird. I think the first time I went was in 2013. There was the whole Lovecraft bust thing that had gone up. And there'd been the big in the Athenaeum, and there'd been a big Kickstarter for it, and then all this stuff came out about how the guy who was running that was super skeezy.
Yeah,
and
big mistake that I put that Kickstarter on the Lovecraft page.
Yeah, I supported that too. I had like a whole episode dedicated to that, and
y'all got did really good.
Yeah, that was not fun. That was.
He has a pretty litigious lawyer. We should not have. We should not have mentioned this.
What? This is satire.
Yes.
So that was the only thing. That was the only thing that went down there. And I was there by myself, doing my sort of Lovecraft Trick. This was before I'd really worked out my my Lovecraft live show. I actually, I did a quick change halfway through the show, and changed from HP into PH. Everyone's favorite Lovecraft doppelganger.
Right.
And I had PH read most of the infamous poem.
Buddy. Damn, that's bold.
So
wait, I don't know. How have I not heard about this before this moment? Because that's a hell of a choice.
Yep. It is up. I have it all documented. If anyone wants to go find my playlist, which is the 2013 Necronomicon, you can go there. I'm not going to tell you which segment it is, but if you want to go watch that, you can go see me say most of that poem without the final real stinger. And I don't know. Like I said, I was still trying to figure out the show, that because I've been doing it for less than a year at that point.
Yeah.
And was still kind of feeling things out. I was like, oh, I was really excited to be at Necronomicon. I was really excited to be invited there. And yeah, was just kind of not quite awestruck, but just dumbstruck. I'd driven from Toronto by myself, abandoned my then pregnant wife, which I almost did last year if I had gone to. Right. If I gone to Necronomicon, we tried to make it work, but she was very pregnant again, and I think I decided that I'd want to
not to subject a loved one to in the first place, let alone a pregnant loved one.
Yeah, well, so I abandoned her when she was pregnant. I dragged her and made her babysit like our 2-year-old and hang out with like folks that she didn't know anything about. She didn't know anyone at the Necronomicon. Yeah. She didn't know any of the stuff. Like, she's a nerd. Like, if there had been like a panel on Farscape, she would have been there. But she is not. She's not a super huge horror fan. She likes Hannibal, but not. Just not huge into horror. So yeah, that was long suffering. And then yes, this last year where I was like, I think I can make this work.
It was pretty nice last year, I gotta say. I like them. I always do. I get like really worked up in advance and get really nervous about if I'll actually have fun. And I've only ever gone by myself. And I don't know. They're like really nice in the moment, and it is kind of cool to see how jazzed people are. But there's something about the mental preparation of being like, I'm going by myself to spend 3 days talking about Lovecraft, a guy who I have pretty complicated feelings with, even though I like have aped him for a couple of years.
That's weird, right? Wearing this mask does weird things to you. Like, I'm not gonna lie to the folks at home, like dressing up as HP Lovecraft 3 times a week, it's gonna take a toll. Like, I don't know how it's gonna come out, but something is just gonna break. And it's not going to be pretty. But I think part of it, and you sort of touched on this, is that we didn't come to this being of this world. Like, you enjoyed sort of Lovecraft just as a reader, but you weren't really in Lovecraft fandom. I didn't start reading Lovecraft really until my mid-20s, and not really in any great length until I was playing him on stage.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything like more profound to add to that. It's just a very, I've always not to like romanticize or make myself sound aloof and mysterious. I've always been pretty self-contained in my interests of like, I've never had like a particular draw to a fandom or like felt the need to express myself in that capacity. And so when you are, even if it's in a kind of disconnected way where I'm not a ringleader of a fan group, it's very weird to have, I think, just shy of 1 million fans responding to the dumb things I'm posting, and then expecting them and projecting all their own expectations as to what they think Lovecraft would or would not say about articles in 2015 or whatever, and getting like it's all just becomes very weird because it's such an obvious farce in the first place. Why do you like? What are you trying to
look? Lovecraft is just this guy, Throw a little hitchhikers there, but it's true, right? Like, this is why it's all about branding. I mean, not to get really like crass and commercial, but like it's a branding exercise. Lovecraft is, for better or worse, the kind of the golden arches of horror. And this is why I get really eye-rolly when people talk about separating the art from the artist, because people aren't just interested in his art by itself. They are interested in him. They're interested in his life. They're interested in the fact that he's like this high school dropout, autodidact, this, guy who is making his own amateur astronomy, digests.
But to flip it back though, they're only interested in that if it suits a particular narrative of theirs. Like, I think the most interesting thing, or it's hard to say the most interesting thing because there was a lot of interesting interactions on the Facebook page. But one of it was the ways that people would craft they would have a deep understanding of Lovecraft, but totally crafted to fit a narrative that they already wanted to tell, as opposed to like, it wasn't like they read S.T. Joshi's biography cover to cover multiple times. It's like they had been like, he seems kind of like a misanthrope. I better get online and find 6 weirdly sourced articles that say he never left his like room, and it was. But they would.
Well, and that is the weird thing, right? Like, people get super defensive about Lovecraft's like really odious habits, and then invent all these other strange things that have no historical basis, like the whole like, oh, he's a shut-in. No, he's not a shut-in. Like, oh, he was this sort of friendless misanthrope. The guy was writing like dozens of letters a day. You don't spend that much on postage when you hate people.
Yeah,
he was this sexless, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, he had a wife. He like he's a human.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's again this funny thing. Maybe the Emily Dickinson people feel the same way, or there's the same sort of schism or something like that. But this seems pretty. I did for a while manage the Edgar Allan Poe Facebook page as well.
Oh, okay.
There's not the same sort of confusion or well, there's a lot of weird branding. God, people fucking. It's after dark. I can curse, right? Yeah, who cares?
Yes, by all means.
But people loved that South Park made some Edgar Allan Poe joke, and they would constantly harp on that. But it's like no one had this like particular fixation on aspects of his character. Maybe maybe his marriage, I don't know, not in the same way where it's just like, you have to do really extensive mental gymnastics to kind of land at the point that people are willing to land at with Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about Lovecraft this whole time?
I mean,
I just,
it's all brand, but no, that's the whole point, right? Like this, it's a weird branding exercise, and the way people sort of play with the brand and defend the brand, and like it's, I don't know, it's weird, and I mean, it's fascinating from an actor's point of view, especially an actor who doesn't have a lot of skin in the game aside from the flesh mask.
Right.
You know, like if I were a real, if I were like a, you know, talk about what I was a real fan of, it'd be something like, you know, Terry Pratchett's Discworld. Like I haven't dressed up for that, but like if I were gonna dress up for something, that's what it would be. You know, I like Star Trek, I like Star Wars. Like these are, you know, these are the things that like I've put my like identity into and my value into. So I understand that, and I get that with Lovecraft. People do that. They like with any brand, they identify with the brand. It's a very successful penetration of the market. And it's, and I cannot help but feel that people, you know, for the most part, discover Lovecraft when they're young, often as teenagers. They identify so much with the autodidact who is so like, you know, is feels like a loner and is scribbling monsters in his school notebooks.
Right.
And they just so identify that. And then when further down the road, they discover that poem, or they do any, like, they, you know, they read Rats in the Walls, and are sort of met with like, oh, here's this really unpleasant thing. Like a bunch of walls go up. And because it feels like it's an attack on them, right? If someone says, whoa, this Lovecraft dude is really racist, you know, like, and I don't see it that way. I play him. And when people are like, whoa, he's really racist, I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, you know, like we can talk about this and deal with this. But so often, and I'm sure you saw it, people go to the like, we can't beat this dead horse. Why are we beating this dead horse? Why are we attacking someone who's dead? Like we're having a conversation here. Like, and there's, you know, people talk about how like, you know, everything that's been said about Lovecraft's racism has been said. We don't need to talk about this anymore. But people are still discovering Lovecraft. Like when people don't talk about his racism, when people don't talk about like the elements of his work that are uncomfortable, it's not because we've all come to some agreement on it. It just means no one new is reading him anymore. Right. And I feel like that should be a bigger concern to a fan base or to a community or to a brand, you know, that's trying to, you know, market and sell books and get Patreon subscribers and do all that, you know, find wine advertisers for their adult late night programming. I don't know. I feel like it's so small that it's sort of like it's a dead horse and then let's move on. I don't know. That's me. And that's sort of been my take. And that's why I keep getting banned from various Lovecraft groups.
And it's also, especially because, I mean, not to conflate it now with like a whole other, it's, I mean, because the same people who are doing this are the same people who are also, you know, like love to say like triggered much and like SJW and all that stupid shit. And it's just so funny that and it's a kind of a cliche to point out that these people who apparently are so like into just moving on and being indifferent to your feelings are so thin-skinned about something like this. And honestly, I mean, you raise a very important point that part of this is to address these matters with new readers. Part of it for me though was just pissing off the old ones and being like, dead horse, then you should have read this argument. You should have realized, come to terms with the fact, dude was racist for most of his life. He was making changes towards the end of it. But like, if you can't own that, it's on you. Like, if you're upset that we are having this discussion for the 20th time, tough shit. Well,
you don't have to engage with it. That's what was really frustrating to see. You know, someone would be like, whoa, I just like read Rats in the Walls and like, this is really messed up. And people would be like, he was a man of his time. Stop beating a dead horse. And I'm like, that's like, they didn't say, hey, Steve, what do you think about Lovecraft racism? No, it's just like, I'm discovering this, I'm processing this, and people should be able to process. And if you don't want to process it, you don't have to. But the fact that people don't want other people to process it and have that conversation taking place within their safe spaces, where they can, you know, post horrible pie pictures and, you know, weird tentacle erotica and alienate, you know, anyone of good taste. Not that there's anything problematic about tentacle erotica. There's just so much of it, and it gets ubiquitous, guys. Calm it down. So yeah, so it's very I don't know. It's a tricky thing, and I hope the conversation happens. And I mean, I expect I will adjust my views on Lovecraft as I get older and I get more like, oh, I don't know, just stodgier and and again identifying more and more than is probably healthy.
Right. I mean, at some point you're gonna have to, you know, share or explain who he is to your children or something like that. And it's like,
right?
Yeah.
they're gonna discover that there's hours and hours of footage of Daddy pretending to be this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It needs to be. I want to be honest about it. I want to be like, yeah, this is problematic, and this is difficult, and this is like he said these things, and he wrote these things, and he suggested these people be fumigated and extirpated. You know, like that's all there. I just finished Paul Lafarge's The Night Ocean.
Isn't it beautiful? I hope you were going to say that. Okay.
I liked most of it. I felt the ending kind of petered out.
Fair enough.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. Okay, so I started it like a year ago. It took me a while. My wife had a child, so things have been busy.
I'm in law school. I don't read anything anymore. So like,
so I started it. I was like, okay, this is kind of really cool. And like, oh, here's some really salacious stuff. Like that's Lovecraft doing what? Ooh.
Yeah.
And I'd only read like a quarter of it when I had PH do his book review. Shh, don't tell anyone else that PH doesn't always read all the books when he does his PH reads a thing.
The first reviewer to do that. So,
yeah. So I took a big break, and then in the middle of it, to really concern some of my viewers, about 2 weeks ago, I wanted to reread Roberto Bolaño's Nazi Literature in the Americas. If you've ever read that,
I have not read it, but I'm familiar.
It's a fantastic book. It is not Nazi propaganda or apologia. It is, but it's like a weird fake encyclopedia of fake right-wing authors throughout mostly Latin America, but also some in North America. And it's just weird. And it's all like just weird fake books and fake authors and fake bibliographies and literary circles. So reading that and then going back to reading Night Ocean was a really interesting juxtaposition, was really fascinating because like I started up I think I'd stopped after the big Barlow chapters and then started up again right as we were getting into C.L. Spinks's sort of autobiography. So that was really like a really weird way to read the book, and with this kind of strange kind of Bolaño piece that's sort of offering commentary on how we think about hagiography and how we think about bibliography. So I enjoyed it for the most part, but I felt there wasn't a button. I don't know. And I guess that's life. Life doesn't have a button. But that was sort of my take. What about you? What were your thoughts?
I honestly, so it's been a few years. I thought it was beautifully written. There was like a very tender melancholy to it. I don't know. I personally made a very conscious effort to read it not as actually having any real relationship to Lovecraft and Barlow. They were kind of just characters in a book, and it was in part because, of course, the Lovecraft internet was really fucking steamed that someone would write a fiction suggesting that it was kind of strange that was he in his 30s at that point and Barlow was barely a teen?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was later in Lovecraft's.
Okay, I was trying to be generous by saying he was in his 30s, but a grown.
I feel like a around 40-year-old going to hang out with a Florida teenager. Going to Florida anyway is sketchy.
It's always been. I mean, it's a story's fitting for Florida though. That local teen lures old man out to his like weird swamp.
Well, it reminded me of the weird incident with other creepo. Piers Anthony, when the teenage boy like ran off to like live with him, and and just he sent him back, so he says. But anyway, Piers Anthony is his own level of squid,
there's like that's going to be a couple of After Dark episodes to unpack all the Piers Anthony stuff.
And if Piers Anthony or your lawyers are watching, this is satire. Look, we're wacky. I'm a character.
Yeah. No, I really liked Lafarge's book. I thought there's something very tender about it. It did peter out at the end. I love the final scene of spoilers on a book that's been out for 3 years of the protagonist swimming out into this lake that maybe her husband disappeared in, maybe not. And it's been, we've been grounded in realism the whole time. And maybe something touches her leg. It doesn't matter though if there is a supernatural or a weird element. There was something, again, it was this I thought it was a very humanizing look at lonely people and sort of their obsessions or the things that they might cling to feel connected to a world. I don't think it's an accurate representation necessarily of Lovecraft or Barlow or of the fandom community of that era. I don't know shit about that, but it was
well,
like,
I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Have you ever read Sharon McCrum's Zombies of the Gene Pool?
I have not. No.
I'm waving my finger at the camera. Okay, if anyone here read Nick Mamatas's I, Providence, go out and find Sharon McCrum's. She has 2 mystery novels. The first one is Bimbos of the Death Sun, yes, and Zombies of the Gene Pool, and they are these murder mysteries set in pre-internet fan community. The first one, Bimbos of the Death Sun, takes place at just a convention, and I, Providence is super based on that. And Zombies of the Gene Pool is a murder mystery set at like a time capsule unveiling from a group that's like, one of these old like mimeograph zine communities from like the 30s. So that's what I kept being reminded of. And those are really good. And so I was happy to see when I see her writing and the DNA of other books, I get really excited. They're not great, like they're sort of so murder mysteries, but like the subject matter is so fascinating. And again, that very specific, very pre-internet. Again, which I think is key. How fan communities orchestrated, ran themselves, and the sort of the weird toxic relationships that came out of it.
Right.
I mean, that's something that fandom has been wrestling with, right? Not just Lovecraft, but also like Marion Zimmer Bradley and big luminaries like Arthur C. Clarke and his really sketchy behavior, Isaac Asimov and his butt grabbing.
I did not know about Asimov.
Yeah, Asimov. I mean, I think so many of them were just womanizers.
Asimov had the really shitty comment to Samuel Delaney, didn't he?
Oh, probably. I don't know.
one of them, when Samuel Delaney won I think it was the World Fantasy Award, one of them was like, you only won because you were black. They said it worse than that. I'm pretty sure it was Asimov. Chip Delaney has a very good essay about it, if I'm not mistaken, because everything he does is actually awesome.
Okay.
But because it was, products of their time right there, because those are dudes. And misogyny.
So, and what I would love to see, I would love to see someone with more time than I have do a comparative like research project into HP Lovecraft's impact through his lever writing, through his kind of connecting people together, and Forrest J Ackerman and his work in early fandom community. Again, networking, bringing people together, taking like cinema, like and like the world of cinema and like, glomming fandom onto that and creating like horror fandom through that. I feel like between the two of them, they are so responsible for what we think of as modern day fandom.
There is a guy who could probably do that project. I don't know if you're going to like the answer though. That's a Jason Brock enterprise right there.
Well, okay.
He's the one who's done the Ackerman documentary.
Oh, he did. Really? Interesting. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he did. You could have to check out his self-edited Wikipedia page. But I'm pretty sure Ackerman documentary of some sort is on there.
Okay. Well, he'll be on the short list.
Yeah, I don't know. I really shouldn't have mentioned that because that's going to go over with as a lead balloon with your viewers, and then if they do get it, there's
no, they're fine. I have classy people, and you know what? Yes, there's drama in the community, and everyone snipes at everyone, and everyone like is crappy to everyone, and that's okay. That's life. That's family.
I guess this is I'm not on Facebook, so I can say whatever I want.
That's right. You fled. You fled before all of Facebook is confiscated by the federal government. Well done.
I guess.
I'm starting this whole thing. I'm like, all right, guys, we're gonna have a Facebook, group, and we're gonna really engage with stuff. And what did Zuckerberg say today? Oh, really? Well, that's good. I'm glad I really
didn't say much of anything because he doesn't even know what's going on.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. I think I hear my youngest child crying, so I should probably go be a good father. you know, so and not be a man of my time. But thank you so much. Do you have any projects or anything that you want folks checking out? I don't know what you're up to now. You're in law school, but
I'm in law school, so a lot of my time is devoted to that. I edit a journal for Hippocampus Press, Dead Reckonings.
Oh, okay.
I can never remember our tagline. Basically, it was originally a review journal or periodical, for weird and horror fiction. Me and my co-editor are really interested in expanding that. I'll send you a link for the website, but
Sure.
Basically, if anyone watching this is interested in either reviewing horror or weird fiction, writing horror or weird fiction, or anything else that falls into that umbrella, wants to write an essay about something that they're passionate about that somehow can be tied to those subjects, wants to interview someone, wants to just like write 2,000 words about whatever is bothering them. I'm pretty into anything at this point and kind of making this journal as inclusive and bizarre as I can.
Nice.
So the email address, if you ever want to get in touch, is deadreckoningsjournal@gmail.
All right, there you go, folks.
Reckoningsjournal, Gmail. That's basically what I'm doing, and that's what I do in a lot of my free time. Not that much; it's not that demanding, but that's the project I'm working on. I'm hoping to do. Years ago, I used to write stuff about Lovecraft, and I'm hoping to get back into that. I really want to, this fall, I'm going to be working on a project of trying to trace some of the copyright issues that surround his work.
Oh, that's really cool.
I've sounded this out with a couple of law school professors, copyright experts who have been like, this is a terrible idea. You don't know what you're going to do. But I'm very excited about the prospects of trying to trace the lineage of, if some of his stories do have copyright protection still, where that lies and how legitimate some of the claims of it are. I think it's weird. In general, ownership is weird. Yes. Ownership's a really weird concept.
So far, I keep waiting for a cease and desist, but so far no one is coming my way, and so I'll continue wearing this flesh mask until someone tells me to stop.
There has been some flexing by some folks about some of the Lovecraft stuff, and St. Joshua in recent years, I'm sorry, I realize your child is crying, had changed his hypothesis on copyright ownership about some of the Lovecraft stories. So I'm really, I'm hoping I can find something interesting, or at least just maybe neatly summarize what's going on. So we'll see.
Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. Alex, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for being my guinea pig for this. And letting me practice this, whatever this is going to be. I don't know what this is going to be, Alex. It's 2018, and who knows what's going to happen, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, there could be a nuclear holocaust by next week's show. So
there we go. Gonna be filming from the bunker.
Yeah, my pleasure. And should you ever need someone to wax sadly about Lovecraft, I'm your guy.
Yes. Oh, I love waxing so much. Thank you, Alex. And to everyone at home, thank you for watching. We had a nice little crowd out here talking very excitedly about Discworld, which was nice to see. And then lots of really upset conversation as people discover things about Piers Anthony that they didn't want to know. So
I'm so sorry.
No, this is about educating people.
This is
about bringing the truth to people.
I think the AV Club has a really good article about it's a fascinating read.
Well, the stories alone, when you go back and look at Spell for Chameleon and just what the gender politics and dynamics going on there, it is not good. I'm as a 7th grader, I didn't pick up on it. So I guess that's good. I don't know. But yeah, going back to those books is bad news. So I hope you folks at home didn't love them too much.
Yeah, Piers Anthony's publisher. Get at us.
That's right. We have thoughts. So anyway, yes, thank you everyone who's watching, everyone who will be watching this. So I think we can post this to the general public. Sure, why not? And if you're interested in, if somehow you've come to this and you don't know who I am, I'm Lehman Kessler of AskLovecraft.com. If you want to follow my live shows, you can go to LehmanKessler.com. I don't have anything coming up in the immediate future. I just finished playing Carl Sagan, which was fun. And I know I have that in my back pocket in case the Lovecraft bubble bursts. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Screaming into the Void, at Lehman Kessler. Alex, are you on Twitter? I know you abandoned Facebook. You doing Twitter?
I'm not. No, I'm
Good. Good. You're smart. You just keep away from it. It's all bad news.
I've got to figure out what to do with my free time now, but yeah.
Anything is better. Make a bunker. That's what you should be doing with your free time.
I should be, honestly.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alex. We'll be stopping the broadcast now, but this has been a blast. And I don't know how often these are going to come out, folks. I've got a few other guests kind of lined up, but I want this to be casual. I don't want to lock myself into a 3 per week schedule again. So we'll see. We'll see what comes from this. This is casual, baby. This is jazz. This is not jazz. But I hope you all have had fun, and I will see y'all later. Alex, peace out.
Take care.
Bye, guys.